So I'm just going to quickly explain the carbon cycle. The carbon cycle kind of looks like this, where everything is kind of moving in a circle. Carbon can be in lots of different forms, like in, say, sugar, or it can be carbon dioxide, it can be gasoline. Carbon is in a lot of things. It's in humans, it's in animals, it's in plants, it's in fossil fuels, it's all over the place. And we only have a certain amount of carbon on the earth. And so the carbon cycle is just explaining how it gets from one form of carbon to another. Okay? So, for example, animals, they take carbon from their body, and when they breathe out through a process called respiration, they release carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. Okay, so the process is like the action word, respiration, is the process of it moving from the cow to the air. Okay, now some things put carbon into the air and some things take carbon from the air. Okay, so for example, plants take in carbon dioxide from the air and they use it to make sugars. Okay, and that is how they feed themselves. Um, One process is decomposition. When things die, they will release their carbon either to the ground, or it can also be emitted through a gas, like a methane gas, into the air. Okay, so that process is called, or that action is called decomposition. And so all these words that we're talking about, respiration, decomposition, diffusion, they're all action words of carbon going from one place to another. Okay? Diffusion is one that people probably haven't heard of. Diffusion has to do with water, mostly the ocean. And if there's more carbon in the air than in the water, the carbon is going to just kind of absorb into the water. If there's more carbon in the water than there is in the air, then it will go the other way and it will absorb into the air. Okay? Now, the one that we're really concerned about in these times is the amount of carbon that we are burning from fossil fuels through the process of combustion. Okay? So power plants that burn coal and cars that burn gasoline are releasing carbon into the air through combustion. Okay? Now, the reason why that's a concern is because the more carbon dioxide we have in the air, the hotter the planet gets. Okay? And so when we take carbon from underneath the ground, like the fossil fuels like coal and gas and stuff, they're all buried beneath the ground. And so when we take those fossil fuels that aren't doing any damage to us, just sitting under the ground, but when we take them and we burn them in a power plant, and now we put that carbon in the air. So when we put that carbon into the air, we're putting too much carbon into the air. Okay, and that's where we get the extreme climate change that we're experiencing now, is because we're taking carbon that was once in the ground and we're putting it into the atmosphere. So we're kind of messing with the natural carbon cycle.